What is going on out there, peeps? All right, I don't know if you guys are paying attention to what the heck is going on, but just in case you're relying on me for the information, let me lay it out for you. Okay, a couple things. First of all, don't lie. You know you would love some bricks this big. Look at the size of these suckers. These right here, I believe, are kilo bars. These are right here, kilos. Right? I can only imagine how big these damn things are right here. Okay, so. But just in case you're planning on stacking up on some kilo bars, you just consider giving our friends over at Money Metals Exchange some consideration. They have been very, very good to my subscribers, and I'm very grateful for that. The link to their website is in the description if you plan on buying precious metals. For those of you who are new and you want to try it out for your first time, if you buy more than $100 worth of precious metals and you go to the checkout, when you get there, in the promo code, put in there Pimpy, P-I-M-P-Y, and you will receive some free silver. Nothing wrong with free precious metals. All right, you guys, so here we go. We are, Pimpy's Investment Chat. I have a Facebook group with the same name as the YouTube channel. In here, we do talk about gold and silver, as well as cryptocurrencies and foreign investment opportunities. Nothing else. I don't want to see politics. I don't want to hear anything else about that in here. Over here, we have the hidden things in front of your eyes. In here, we do talk about NESARA, GESARA, politics, Donald Trump, Q, the whole 9 yards, and things that people consider a conspiracy. There will be a link for both groups in the description, as well as the link for Money Metals. All of it's free to go check out. Come on over. So anyways, there was this article that came out the other day. And look, you have to really pay attention to what they're saying. This is what I'm talking about, because I talk to people all the time about gold and silver, and I explain why it is right now more than ever. It is a smart investment. You have to see the bigger picture. You have to see what's going on in the world. So instead of you trying to run around and seeing what it is, I'm going to bring it to you, okay? So let's do this first article. Investors around the world put nearly 3 billion, that's pounds, into gold at the end of July, in what was the second largest weekly sales figure for funds investing in precious metals. So you see, it's not just us that's waking up to this. People around the world know the doo-doo is about to hit the fan. They know this. It's making it really hard for a lot of people to get their hands on precious metals. The figures from Bank of America were published as the gold price reached the record high of $2,070 per ounce. Driven by investors cautious of fears of overinflation, analysts expect the price to keep rising despite its ascent into uncharted territories. So everybody's expecting this to keep rising. One thing about bull runs or bull market for precious metals, they tend to last for a long time. There's usually this very steady climb. So this is anticipated to happen and keep on happening for some time. So Norman Villeman of Wealth Management, UBP, said gold could be in the early stages of the bull market. That could last several years. That's what I'm trying to tell you. So what we're seeing going on with gold and silver is only the beginning. It's going to keep on rising. So as time goes on, if you want to cash in some of your precious metals, I get it. That's fine. But what I'm also saying is you should keep a huge part of that in your portfolio, because we have some big things coming, and they are coming pretty quick. So I also want you to listen to something. And again, I can't stress this enough. This is not a commercial for Donald Trump. But man, this guy gives us every reason to vote him into office. So whether you're dealing with the Iraqi dinar, the Vietnam dong, precious metals, if they go up and they gain huge values, you have to pay what's called capital gains tax. Well, guess what Donald Trump wants to do away with? You got it. Capital gains tax. Let's listen to a little bit of his speech.
That will happen. We're further looking at additional tax cuts, including income tax relief, income tax cuts, and capital gains tax cuts. So we're going to be looking at that capital gains for the purpose of creating jobs, and income tax is self-explanatory, and it'll be income tax for middle income and lower income people, but middle income people, because they pay a lot of income tax, and you do have tax inequality. I'm saying that as a Republican, and you do have tax inequality. So we're going to be looking at income tax, and we're going to be looking at capital gains tax cuts on both, and maybe substantial. And we'll be reporting back fairly shortly on that. That's big news. That's big news, but very important.
Yes, that's big news. For all the investments that we have right now, this is huge. Then that means the only taxes you'll have to pay on are what? State taxes. And some of you guys live in a state where there's no state taxes. What does this mean? Whatever you earn on your investment is all yours. Yeah, pee-pee dance. Yep, jump around, do the pee-pee dance. Don't get me wrong, because if you live in liberal hell like I do, which is California, a Democratic-controlled city or state, they're going to do all they can to take a lot of that money from you. So you need to get the hell out of the states and where there's state tax. Okay? They're going to try to find a way, because Trump's really just zapping all their ways of taking money and funneling it to themselves and to their friends. He's killing it. All right? So anyways, this is Mark Moss. Mark's going to go in a little bit more detail about what's going on around the world and our currencies and what is the best investment opportunity. It's very important. Listen to what he has to say.
I don't want to be paying to loan out money. So investors sell their dollars for other assets, right? At least they're not guaranteed to lose money that way. Like, why hold dollars when I'm guaranteed to lose money when I could hold another asset and potentially have it go up?
Did you hear what he said? Why are you holding on to dollars? In other words, IRA accounts, stocks, bonds, those types of investment. Although there are some stocks that are really good during a financial crisis. But he's saying you can't trust your money just sitting around in the bank or in the savings. Do you see what I'm saying?
So these falling U.S. rates and the U.S. dollar is part of the big reason why we see the price of gold rising higher, as well as other types of assets. Now, you can see this relationship between the real rates of returns and gold price from this chart on the screen now. And it shows pretty clearly that real interest rates go down and gold price goes up. Now, since March 24th, when the Fed basically said they would print to infinity, do whatever it takes, and on and on and on, both nominal and real yields have just been going down and down and down. Now, on top of that, we're seeing dollars being flooded into the system, injected as fast as they possibly can, and that pushes bond prices up, which then brings the yield prices down even more. Now, all this becomes sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy, so to speak. It's like a downward spiral, because the worse it gets, the response that they need to take makes it even worse, which then just makes it worse again, which makes the response even worse again, and it's a downward spiral. Now, in the US, as I mentioned in my previous video, which I'm going to link right up here, I talked about how the Republicans and the Democrats are fighting over whether they should give out another $1 trillion or $3 trillion, all right? Either way, it's trillions of dollars. It's a lot of money, and this is on top of like already $2, $3, $4 trillion that they've already injected into the system. But this is the important piece to know right here. It's not just the US dollar. All the currencies of the world are basically racing to the bottom.
See, I told you, this is a worldwide event. So when people always bring to my attention what happened to gold in 1980, and again later on in 2008, 9, 11, I was going, look, this event is different. It's much different. Those things happen here in the United States. We had one bubble bust. We had another bubble bust. No, this is worldwide, and there's several bubbles getting ready to bust. This is a planned event. They plan on crashing the current event, our current system, and bringing us into a new one. All right? That's why you need to pay attention. Listen to what he's saying.
All right. It's not just the Fed that's printing all the money right here. The ECB, the European Central Bank, they're injecting another almost $1 trillion, about $877 million, bringing its total pandemic response to about $1.58 trillion. Plus, they have an additional $500 billion from national level stimulus packages. So it really brings the total EU response to $2.1 trillion. Now, that's a huge number. We hear these numbers thrown around so much that maybe we lose perspective of what they are, but they're massive. These numbers are mind-boggling. But not to be outdone, Japan's trying to one-up the EU, and they say, oh, we see your 2.1, we're going to raise you. Japan has dropped 2.2 trillion in the stimulus relief. Now, while these numbers don't seem that far off, well, the U.S. Fed's going to be 2 trillion, the ECU 2.1, Japan 2.2. Numbers are all about the same, right? But you have to remember, because I say it all the time, everything is relative. So what are those numbers relative to? Well, the stimulus package is relative to the GDP of the country. Now, as you can see from the chart that's on the screen, this compares the United States, China, Japan, the European Unions, and other countries' stimulus packages as a percentage of the 2020 gross domestic product.
If all these countries are on shutdown and people are limited to go out and work, what does that mean about all the money that they're pumping out there? Eventually, it becomes worthless. Everybody turns to the one or couple items that are considered and legally are considered money, and that's precious metals, gold and silver.
Now, clearly, the world has a massive debt problem. And at the rate that I'm looking and the lens I'm looking through, it's not going to get any better, at least not anytime soon. The economy's not going to recover fast anyway, if ever, which means that the debt's only going to continue to grow. So the takeaway here is that it's going to be a continued race to the bottom. Countries around the world are going to continue to keep interest rates low. They're going to continue to jack up fiscal stimulus, and they're going to continue to try to spur economic activity through printing more money, keeping rates low or negative. Now, as they continue to devalue their currencies, it just becomes more and more important that we need to hold our assets, store our value, hold our wealth outside of the government-controlled assets, like
outside the fiat currency system. He said it, outside the control of the government. Gold, silver, and other precious metals.
Fiat currency. They are not a place to store your wealth, to store your value. I mean, I guess unless you want to see it go down, but nobody wants to see that, right? So if we want to protect our assets, we need to do it through diversification. We need to get out of the fiat currencies, and we need to get into different types of real hard assets.
Listen what he's saying. You need to get out of fiat currencies. A lot of your IRA accounts, your stocks, your bonds, these are all fiat currency assets. He's warning you. You need to get out of them.
This is why gold is shooting higher, like I said, crushing new all-time highs, breaking through resistant barriers. And it's why it's maybe one of the best performing asset classes this year. And as you can see from all the charts and data I've shown you, it should continue this way, at least for the better part of the decade to come.
Say what? Did he just say it's going to continue to rise and outperform for the next decade? Let that sink in.
Gold, other hard assets, commodities, things that are real, they should continue to do very well. As we print more and more fake money, the demand is going to be for more real things that are limited. So, I mean, I could see gold getting to $4,000 an ounce pretty easy from here in this environment. That's 100% gain just from here. Gold miner stocks are going to do exponentially better. I mean, easily doing 3x, 5x, even 10x better than the gold. So,
I did tell you, keep an eye on the miner stocks. I said, look, if you're going to be in the stocks and bonds, then at least think about the miner stocks. What is he saying? 3, 4, 5, 10 times outperform other stocks? Of course they will. Because if the demand for precious metals goes up, especially gold and silver, then it drives the stock up of the miners. And here's what he's saying. The miner stocks will most likely outperform the precious metals themselves. Woo! Yeah, I'll be doing my stock watch video. Yeah, I did realize I missed it twice last week. I was too busy studying for something else. But nonetheless, listen, Mark Moss, I'll leave the link to his video. He's telling you. Lynette Zhang has told you. The people on Kitco have told you. The people from Arcadia Economics have told you. You have to be careful about holding any types of assets in what is known as a fiat currency holdings. they're going to be devalued. You need to put it into more secure types of assets. Precious metals. Real estate is another one. Although I'm pretty sure real estate's going to take a hit. So I'm going to stick to precious metals because that's where all my money is. Speaking of, here we are with Kitco. Now I'm going to start over here towards the beginning because you need to hear what this man has to say for the next couple of minutes because it's
He's been
important.
calling for gold price to hit all-time highs for
Listen what he
basically
says.
ever, and it's come true finally. No one's probably happier than you, Frank, right?
I'm very, very happy, and I think there's so much enthusiasm now for gold. We're due for a correction, and that would be great. Buy on the dips.
Say what? Did he say buy on the dips? Pimpy says buy on the dips. He's saying we're due for a correction. What a correction is when we see that the gold and precious metal values or price go up what most people consider quickly. So you'll get these speculators. So speculators will buy in, and once they feel like they've made a pretty good chunk of change, they'll sell. And it'll cause a flood of the metals availability in the market, causing the price of gold and silver to drop. It's a correction. People sell. I don't think so. I've been watching the market. We see these small corrections. That ain't going to happen. First of all, we got the Rona keeping the mint from producing coinage. Okay, so that's your American Eagles, your gold American Eagles or silver. You know what I mean? So I don't think so. We're not going to see any correction anytime soon. That's just my opinion. But let's ride this dog out.
Okay. Yeah, let's talk about that. A lot of people I've talked to say that a major correction is not going to happen anymore. So when you say correction, what kind of a magnitude are we talking about?
Every time you have a secular bull market, there are many 10% corrections. And it's this big capitulation. So you can easily get a 10% correction in stocks if you get a 3% correction in bullion.
That's what I'm telling you. Don't panic when you see the price of gold and silver drop 10%. This is the norm. It might go a little bit more than that. It might go less than that.
And it's just recognizing that ratio of 3 to 1 is important. And do you have the stomach to weather it? And I've always seen that. And David, it was Cambridge and 18 months ago in January where the Golden Cross just took place. And I commented on that. And it's interesting because most people are still so bearish in that run. And only this past 4 weeks have I seen so many different brokerage firms in New York all of a sudden explaining about gold. I listened to one this morning by a macro shop, and it's still negative. So I really think that gold is going to maintain this beautiful secular bull market.
Where do you think the next level is for you? What's the next key level that we need to take out?
I really don't think that way, David. I think that, I've got a forecast, a rational reason over the next couple of years it can go to $4,000.
No. Nope. I don't agree with that. I'm saying we're going to hit at least 3,000 by the end of this year. Maybe even higher.
If it goes higher, it'll be because of economic forces. But I believe there's a huge gap, like Ray Dalio says. There is a gap of inequality on income between the wealthiest and the poorest. But there's also a huge gap politically on the solutions for that problem. Right. And therefore, if there's a huge gap of philosophically with politicians, then that means we're going to have a big gap between fiscal monetary policies. Mm-hmm. Yep. That has historically always been bullish for gold. And we have seen this since 2000.
So what he's saying is the political party bickering is going to cause the value of precious metals to go up, especially gold.
I mean, if you look back over the past 20 and a half years of this new century, gold, on looking at those 20 years, has been up 80% of the time. But most people are so quick to be bearish on it. Gold has outperformed the S&P 500 almost 3 to 1.
3 to 1.
Gold as an asset class in a portfolio, and a reason not to have it is actually foolish. And so I think that we're going to...
So for those of you who are saying, Pimpy, I have this IRA, what do I need to do? I can't tell you what you should do with your IRA. I can't. But it would seem to me that you would at least 20% of your IRA is in gold and silver. Now for me, I'm an 80-20 split. That's where I am. But that just depends on a ratio of silver to gold. Once silver to gold ratio starts to close, once we get around 30-1, then I would switch over to gold. But listen to what this guy's saying. If you don't have any of these precious metals in your portfolio at all, you're really, oh man, you're shooting yourself in the foot. I cannot stress this enough. The worst thing ever would be that all of a sudden people are like, man, I wish I would have listened to you, Pimpy. I lost everything. No, don't do that. You could protect your investment. There's nothing wrong with moving some of your money into precious metals. So either way, if the stock continues to perform well, then good, congratulations. No big deal. You haven't lost anything. You still have to go to silver, and you have the stocks in your IRAs. But if they take a dump and gold and silver goes up, then you really haven't lost anything in your savings because you hold precious metals and they gain in value and they make up for what you lost. Do you see? You need a balance. People go, well, Pimpy, what'd you do with yours? Yeah, well, I cashed all mine in, every single bit of them, and put it all on precious metals.
See on this cycle a greater adoption of gold as an important asset class, rebalance once a quarter, once a year, but it should be in your portfolio.
Frank, you wrote last week an excellent report that I encourage everybody to read, that there's more money in the system today than ever before. And I wonder if this is because, as you just brought up, if this has any political implications as well. I mean, isn't it easier for politicians to finance their political agenda by just printing money than to raise taxes on people?
Well, only to a certain degree, but I think the more important part of that equation is the G20. So if they function like a cartel, like an oil cartel,
yeah,
and therefore one's not going to hurt the other, and they all print equally, and they all print as a percentage, then no one currency is going to be able to whack with the other, and it sort of masquerades. But that's the secular bull market in gold, because gold will then rocket against all currencies.
Okay, I want to just go back to your $4,000 call, which you made. You first told me about last month, and excellent analysis. Basically, you told me that last time we had monetary expansion or expansion of the Fed balance sheet back in 08, 09, we saw gold rise in tandem between 2009 to 2011. Gold prices rose 200%. And if you apply the same growth metric to today, we can see gold go to $4,000. I'm wondering if the Fed balance sheet expands even faster than you anticipated today, would you see gold go up even higher than $4,000? Is that possible?
You know, it could, and for me, my forecasts are actually, that's one simple way of looking at it. But I think more important is look at Greenspan. He was always criticized. And when Greenspan left, the Fed's balance sheet was 6% of GDP. And now it's over 30%. And there's no complaining to the degree, except for people that look at macroeconomics and gold. But the general thought process in Wall Street still is not there. So I think that gold can probably go higher because they can't even fathom still 4,000 like they couldn't fathom 1,900. And what we're seeing is very different is that governments like Switzerland or Japan float a bond. No one buys it because it's got zero interest rate. And they turn around and create funny money and they go and buy stocks or they buy their ETF. And what we're seeing the Federal Reserve do is come in to get corporate bond yields down. They cannot go and buy them directly, so they're buying it through an ETF. And they're buying munis through an ETF to get those yields down to keep the economy inexpensively rolling over. That's unprecedented.
See what I'm talking about? There is something going on. There's no doubt about it. We are moving into a new monetary system. What they're doing with the old system is crashing it. What we're seeing happening is what this man's talking about, is that countries around the world are pumping out more money like it's funny money, and they are sacking their central banks with this. Eventually, what's going to happen is they're going to have all the debt, and they're going to have to declare bankruptcy. Then we'll move into the new monetary set. Meanwhile, that means anything and everything in fiat currency will drop in value because the money will have no value. The only thing that will have value is true commodities such as real estate, gold, and silver. Look, I'm not telling everybody to just get rid of everything you have and put it into gold and silver. But if you have an IRA account or some type of savings, retirement savings, you might want to consider putting about 25% of it into gold and silver just in case. Okay, I just wanted to share this information with you because it's still going on. And if you decide to move your entire IRA over into gold and silver, then give Money Metals a call. Okay, they will help you. Hit the thumbs up button if you like the video. If not, if you're not a subscriber, please do so because we do help out the channel, and I surely do appreciate it. I'll catch you later.